Hey guys, it's Ronnie here from Southern Food Junkie. I had a few people reach out to me on Early Bird's Farm Instagram page and was asking about a picture that I posted of some pickles that I'm making. Bread and butter pickles to be exact. And so I thought I'd shoot a quick little video just to show you how I'm making them in case you're interested in doing them. It's pretty simple. I'm actually using a recipe that I found online. The actual website that I got it from is called Practical Self-Reliance. It's like a homesteading channel. So let's show you what we got going on. Things that I want to show you, in case you don't know, you got to wash your jars and then boil them for 10 minutes at a high heat, a rolling boil. So I got that process going. My water bath canner. These have actually stopped. And I just left the jars in the hot water there. Also, I have cut up my cucumbers and onions, and I added bell pepper to my mixture. I added a 1/4 cup of kosher salt on these. You can use cannon salt, and if you don't have cannon salt, which I could not find because everybody and their brother seems to be cannon right now, you can also use kosher salt. You need something that is fine, not coarse, and you don't want to use table salt, which has added chemicals which can make your pickles cloudy. So once you sprinkle this on here, you want to toss it, mix it all up, let this sit for 2 to 3 hours. Mine has actually been sitting for 3 hours. Then you're going to strain this in a colander and give them a good rinse to get the extra salt off. Here we are adding our cucumber, onion, and bell pepper mixture with the salt already added to our colander. What we're going to do is rinse these really well, get all the excess salt off, and then we're going to let them continue to drain in this colander for about 10 to 15 minutes to get the excess moisture off. The next thing we're going to do is add in our vinegar. This recipe calls for 3 cups of vinegar. I'm actually doubling this recipe since I have so many cucumbers. We're using this Zolka sugar. Our friends at Outdoor and Country Living told us about this sugar. Our recipe actually calls for 2 cups of sugar. Again, we're doubling our recipe, but I'm actually cutting back on our sugar and just going to use 3 cups. The sugar and the vinegar, the sugar and the salt has nothing to do with preserving. It's all in the vinegar, so you can kind of adjust this as you see fit. Next up, we're going to add in our mustard seed. This calls for 2 tablespoons of mustard seed. Again, we're doubling this, so we're going to put 4 in here. Next up, we're going to put in our turmeric. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of turmeric. Again, we're adding 2 because we're doubling our recipe. Now we're going to add in celery seed. This recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of celery seed, and again, we're putting in 2. We have our heat on high. We want to bring this mixture to a boil, and we want to stir it often to get all that sugar and all the spices. Allow the spices to bloom and rehydrate, and all those flavors can kind of marry together. Like I said, we'll bring this to a boil, and then we'll put our mixture in here in a little bit, and then once the mixture goes in, we'll bring it back to a boil, and then we'll cut it off and just leave it on a low just to keep it warm. I did add in some crushed red peppers. Just put it in about a teaspoon, kind of to my taste. I wanted a little bit of heat in this, so you can omit this if you don't want it. We have our lids and our rings sitting in water that's heating. I just have this pan on low, so I do this to sterilize them. Next, we add in our cucumber, onion, and bell pepper mixture that's been sitting in the sink draining. And we give this a good stir and bring this up to a boil. Once it starts boiling, we're going to reduce the heat down to low and just leave it sitting there until we're ready to fill our jars. Alright, here we are moving our sterilized jars from our hot water bath, and we're going to set them in a line and get them ready to fill up. Before we actually fill them up, we will put a clove of garlic in each jar. Actually, the cloves that I have are really big, so I just split them in half and put one in each jar. We'll show that next coming up. Here we have our cloves of garlic. Like I previously said, I'm going to split these and stick a clove in each jar. So if you don't want garlic in yours, you can omit this. You can add more or less. You can kind of adjust this recipe to your liking. This is just kind of what I did. The website that I got this from said that this idea come from the Ball canning book. Here we got our funnel, and we're going to start filling in the cucumber, onion, bell pepper mixture into our warm jars. We're going to pack them down really good with our headspace tool. Make sure we get a good amount in a jar. Make sure they're not stacked on top of each other and they're kind of different, so they're just not stacked up like you slice a cucumber and stack them. Here I am using the head spacing tool to pack the jar. Once we put our brine solution in here, we'll check the head space. We want it to be a 1/2 inch. Here I'm filling it up, and we'll use our head spacing tool to get all the bubbles out of here. Checking the head space in here. Again, it's supposed to be a 1/2 inch. Now we use the back of the tool to try to get any bubbles that's in there out, and then pack them back down in there again. Next, you want to get your lid lifter tool if you have one. This is a super cool tool. Has a magnet on the bottom, makes it easy to get your lids without burning your fingers. Before we do that, we're going to wipe the edge of our jars off to make sure there's no food there. Once we wipe our jar off, we'll get one of our lids out of the warm water. Having the warm water kind of helps sterilize the lids, but also kind of helps the gasket on there to kind of set. We'll put that on top of our jar. Once you put your lid on top, grab one of your bands. We're just going to put it on here hand tight. No need to cinch it down. It just needs to be just barely tight enough. Set them to the side and go to the next one. Alright, once you got your jars filled up, make sure that your water bath canner is to a rolling boil again. We're gonna lift our rack up out of the water. And then next we're going to start grabbing our jars and placing them in there. I placed one on the center first to kind of keep it balanced and then kind of go around that. We're going to drop these down in the water, and we're going to set our timer for 10 minutes. Here we are easing them down into the water. We're going to put our lid back on top. And then, like I said, we're going to set our timer for 10. Once it comes back up to a boil, here we are setting our kitchen timer on our stove. 10 minutes. Start. Alright, our kitchen timer has come to a 0. We're going to turn our burner off and reset our kitchen timer for 5 minutes and let them sit in the hot water for 5 minutes. Once that 5 minutes is up, you can start removing your pickles out of here. Set them on a towel and allow them to cool off. And once they have cooled off, you want to check and make sure they've sealed. The lid should be sunk in. They should not pop when you press the top of them. If they do not pop when you press it in or do not press in, you know that you got a good vacuum seal on them. And your pickles should last for 18 months or longer in the pantry. Alright guys, we want to thank you for watching our video today. If you enjoyed this video, how about hitting that subscribe button? If you hit that little bell notification, it'll notify you every time we post a new video, and you'll be notified. Also, how about checking out this video right here, or this one right here? We hope that you'll enjoy those too, and we'll see y'all on the next food adventure. Let's get food junk.